pleasant morning to everyone, especially to our dearest teacher, Ma'am Clara Alpha Rafael Montesa. Ma'am, good morning. So, we are Group 3 reporters. Our topic is all about identify the attributes of global corporations. So, our subject is the contemporary world. So, we are Group 3 reporters, ROSELA FAINA and SHERELYN ESPERIDION from first year BSED Filipino-A. So now, let's proceed to our lessons. So, learning objectives. Our learning objectives is to understand the creation, attributes, and types of global corporations. So, what is global corporation? So, global corporation is a large company that operates in many different countries or GC. When we say GC, global corporation, in a sense, are multinational corporations having many units operating or in overseas countries. They operate in 2 or more countries and face many challenges and their quest to capture value in the global market. So, yun na nga, sinabi ko na global corporation. When we say global, hindi lang siya dito sa Pilipinas, kundi sa ibang lugar. Meron ding mga iba't ibang companies and corporations. Global company is generally referred to as a multinational corporation or MNC. MNC is a company that operates in 2 or more countries, leveraging the global environment to approach varying markets in attaining revenue generation. So, the increased international trade has both created and been supported by international regulatory groups like WTO or World Trade Organization and transnational trade agreements like North American Free Trade Agreement. This agreement signed by Canada, Mexico, and the US or United States. There is not a single country that is completely independent. All are dependent to some degree or international trade for their own prosperity. Without international trade, there would be no need for international regulatory groups. Yun yan, sinasabi na yung international trade and international regulatory groups is important. Sila is connected sila. Without the international regulatory groups, and international trade at the massive scale would be impractical. Okay. The trade regulatory groups agreements and regulate the flow of goods and services between countries. They reduce tariffs, which are taxes or imports, and make customs procedures easier. This makes trading across national borders much more feasible. So, nakikita dyan sa presentation, international trade and international regulatory groups is connected to each other. The trade regulatory groups and agreements, sinasabi ko nga na it regulates the flow of goods. Sila yung nagre-regulate sa pag-flow ng mga goods and services between countries. They reduce tariffs. When we say tariffs, no, that is taxes, which are taxes on imports and makes customs procedures easier. This makes trading across the national borders much more feasible. These traditional trade agreements often benefit private industries the most. The companies can produce their goods and services across many different countries. Sa isang company daw, so pwede sila mag-produce ng mga goods and services ng mas marami pa. At pwede nila itong i-distribute through different countries. For instance, you can have a backpack that was designed in the United States, but the materials came from China, and it was put together in Mexico before it was shipped back to the US to be sold. So, parang dito sa Pilipinas, karamihan yung mga products natin is made in China, no? Tapos dito sa ini-export ng mga China, ng taga-China yung kanilang products dito sa Pilipinas. So, tayo naman, yung Pilipinas naman is sinosold naman yung mga products nila kasi nga is mura and maganda yung quality. So, katulad din dito sa example, no? Okay. When we say multinational or transnational corporation, or MNCs or TNCs, so also referred to as global corporations. So, bakit nga nasabi na global corporations ang multinational or transnational corporation? Because hindi lang siya nakafix sa isang country, kundi in other countries also. They intentionally surpass borders and take advantages of opportunities in different countries to manufacture, distribute, market, and sell their products. So, some global corporations are ubiquitous, like McDonald's and or Coca-Cola, and yet they market themselves as American companies. So, we are familiar the kind of corporations. Meron tayong McDonald's or Coca-Cola. So, kilala na natin yung mga ganyang corporations. Sila is yung patuloy pa rin nagdi-distributes ng mga products nila in different countries. Hindi lang dito sa Pilipinas nagdi-distribute sila ng mga products nila, but in the other countries. So, itong McDonald's, meron dito sa Pilipinas. So, dito sa Mindoro meron. Okay? Meron din sa ibang lugar. Others can be surprising, like General Electric, which is based on United States but has more than half of its business and employees working in other countries. Another example is Ford Motor Company, the classic American company headquartered in Michigan that manufactures cars worldwide. So, karamihan sa ating mga laborer or workers, no, is talagang nagma-migrate sa ibang lugar para lang for the job opportunities, to seek job. So, because dahil nga na mas mataas yung wages doon compare dito sa Pilipinas. So, isa sa mga company na kanilang pinagtatrabahuan is General Electric, no? And dito din sa Ford Motor Company. When I say Ford Motor Company, ito yung sila yung nagmamanufacturers ng cars, ng mga sasakyan sa buong bansa. Okay, transnational corporations. Transnational corporations has a significant role in the global economy. Some have greater production advantages than entire nation. They influence the economy and politics by donating money to specific political campaigns or lobbyists. They can influence the global trade laws of the international regulatory groups. So, itong note or lobbyist is someone who is employed to persuade legislators to vote for legislation that favors the lobbyist employer. So, when we say lobbyist, what is this. So, lobbyist is a person who tries to influence lawmakers. Lobbying is a way of influence the lawmaking process by convincing lawmakers to vote as you want them to. Next, global corporations. Global corporations will be report my co-partners, SHERELYN ESPERIDION. Global corporations often locate their companies in countries which can provide the cheapest labor in order to save up the expenses in making of a product. So, these global corporations, ito yung mga companies na kung saan nagpo-provide sila ng mga cheapest labor. When we say cheapest, mura lang yung labor or sa mga employees nila, no? Low wages lang sila. Because para makabawi sa mga nagastos nila, lalo na sa paggawa ng mga products. So, as a result, developing nations will provide incentives. So, nagpo-provide din naman sila ng mga incentives like tax-free trade zones or cheap labor. Mga ganun baga sila. That is global corporations. Global na kasi pangkalahatan. So, parang hindi na siya yung sinasabing nagpo-provide sila ng mga high wages. So, ang gusto lang nila is mabawi or to save up the expenses in the making up of a product. Dahil nga sa malaki yung nagastos nila to create a product. So, ginagawa nila is produce more products para naman mabawi yung kanilang mga nagastos to create that products. Sila yung nagpo-provide din ng cheapest labor, mura nga lang. So ayun na, no. The companies will set up shop in their countries in hopes of bringing jobs and industry to the beleaguered agricultural areas. This promote rapid advances in the developing nations because of the ideas and innovations brought over from the industrialized nations. It also make the nations around the world through interdependent, which minimizes the potential for conflict. So in the end, however, these incentives often hurt the working population of the developing nation. The upper classes may benefit from the business of this corporation, but the people working in the factories are exploited as their wages are cut. So, ayun nga, no? In addition, they are often prohibited from the unionizing. It can even result in sweatshop conditions with long working hours, substandard wages, and poor working conditions. If the labor laws in the country become too restrictive to the TNCs or transnational corporations, they can just move their factory to a new country, leaving widespread unemployment in their wake. Setting up factories in these developing nations may also hurt the company which the TNC is based because many potential jobs are being sent abroad. The same thing happens when companies outsource their labor to other countries. So, napapansin natin na ang iilan sa ating magagaling na mga laborers is nakikipagsapalaran sa ibang bansa to find a good job and with a high wage. So nahihirapan din ang ibang mga company to find or outsource in other laborers to help the production of their products. So hindi rin mabubuo ang ang paggawa ng mga goods and services without laborers. So yan is a part of a business. So kailangan din na mayroong mga laborers. Outsourcing has been enabled by technological advances, allowing immediate communication across the world to ease the transporting people, goods, and information. When companies find people in other countries willing to work for a lower wage. So when companies find people in other countries willing to work for a lower wage, may mga company kasi na naghahanap ng mga tao na willing talagang magtrabaho sa ibang bansa kahit na mababa ang sahod. They will often employ them. So ini-employ nila yun, tinatanggap nila yon, which is good for the company. So good yun sa kanilang company, no? Less yung kanilang expenses because they save money. So and it is good for the people in other countries because they now have a job. So mas okay na din yun sa mga tao na gustong magtrabaho kesa wala silang kikitain. So but it also means that the people in the core country are losing jobs. So akala natin kapag nasa ibang bansa ka okay ka, no? Hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon okay tayo kasi may mga pagkakataon na akala natin mataas yung sasahurin natin, so hindi natin yun inaakala. So may mga talaga na may mga country talaga na gusto nila is lower wage lang. So that's why some of the people in the core country are losing jobs and having difficulty finding new ones. There seems to have negative effects of globalization from transnational corporations. Trade does promote the self-interested agendas of corporations and give them autonomy. The global corporations also influence the politics and allow works to be exploited. There are, however, positive effects. So, ito yung mga positive effects. Better allocation of resources. What is allocation? Allocation is the acting or process of allocating or distributing something. Lower prices for products. Mababa yung mga presyo ng mga products. More employment worldwide. So, dahil nga sa maraming mga companies dito or corporation, no, talagang naghahanap sila ng mga laborers o mga tao willing to work with their company. Nag-i-employ sila worldwide. Hindi lang dito sa Pilipinas, kundi sa ibang lugar. Kaya meron tayong mga OFW. And then higher product output. Yung mga product nila is good quality naman, hindi yung sinasabi natin na yung mga product nila is madaling masira, mga ganun. So high quality or higher product output. Yung pagka-create nila is maayos, maganda ang quality. The changes a country experiences from international trade are not only economic. Many of the cultural changes are important and sometimes even more obvious than the economic changes the nation can experience as international trade becomes easier and more widespread. More than just goods and services are exchanged. Culture practices and expressions are also passed between nations, spreading from group to group. This is called diffusion. Ideas and practices spread from where they are well known and frequently apparent to places where they are new and not often observed. In the past, exploration, military conquest, missionary work, and tourism provided the means for trading of ideas, but technology has exponentially increased the speed of diffusion. Nowadays, mass media and internet allow the transfer of ideas almost instantaneously. So, agree tayo dun lahat na ngayon sa in our generation, no, meron tayong mass media and internet na ina-allow to transfer our ideas and almost instantaneously. Hindi na siya yung mahirapan tayo instant na, so mabilis na. This is the most commonly seen in the transmission of scientific knowledge and the spreading of the North American culture, which denominates the internet. So this is our summary. So, international trade and global corporations along with the internet. So, we agree naman tayo doon na karamihan sa atin is nagre-rely na lang tayo sa internet. And more global processes contribute to globalization because people and corporations bring their own beliefs. So, may mga tao at mga corporation na may kanya-kanya silang beliefs o paniniwala, traditions, and their money with them when they interact with other countries. So, these ideas and capital can then be incorporated in other countries and thus change the cultures and economies of these foreign natures. So, that's all. So, thank you for listening to our lessons. Again, this presentation will be submitted to our dearest teacher, Ma'am Clara Alfarafa Montesa. And again, I am your reporter for today, Miss ROSELA FAINA and SHERELYN ESPERIDION.